Well, good evening, everyone. Come on in, come on in. It's 8 o'clock, it's Wednesday night, and that means it is WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday. And for the past few weeks, we've been talking about this turbulent market. We're going to do a little of that this evening, certainly. But before we get started, I want to make sure that come on in the chat. Tell me who's in the room with me. I already see there are a number of our WealthyU Society members. I see some new faces here as well. So come on in and let me check out all of your beautiful faces. You know, I say if I got to get made up, y'all got, I don't care what you looking like. I want to see your beautiful faces. So let me just change my view, and if Mr. Owens can let me see you guys up on the screen in the monitor in your panel, and I can give some shout out. Hey Karen Gray, Clinton, Maryland in the house. Yeah, let's see if I can see your beautiful faces. Who else is here hanging out with me? We got a number of people coming in, and I want to talk to all of you tonight. I want to hear what's on your mind. I want to hear how you're feeling about the stock market. So if any of you have questions, now's your time. But I also want to let you know that we have an amazing event coming up on Saturday. But for those of you who are already in WealthyU Society members or Legacy Wealth Accelerator members or WealthyU Academy members, do not join. Do not buy a ticket, because you already have, you're going to get an email. It's going to have the link in, and all you're going to have to do is look for what the Zoom link is and join us on Saturday from 10 to 4. So let's see who is in the house with me. Okay, yeah, I see a number of you are here. Hey. I see Zerlene. I see Karen Wheeler Williams. Hello. Who else is in the house with me? Let's see, Las Vegas. Okay. I don't know if it's hot here. I know it's hot here. I feel like we have Vegas weather. Who else is in the house with me? Let me see you in the chat. So, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Deborah Owens, and I'm founder and CEO of WealthyU, where we help women build their first investment portfolios to seven figures and beyond. And I want to claim the moniker of millionaire maker because you guys are hitting your first six, seven, and some of you are already are running for eight. And it's so exciting to see. But let me just ask you guys a question in the chat. Let me know, how are you feeling about the volatility of the stock market? Have any of you been looking at your statements? Let me give some more shout outs where I give you a few minutes to just comment on that. Who's that? Jacqueline Meekins. That's right. From Gainesville, Florida, sunny Florida. Who else is here Pauline, good evening. Good evening, Pauline. And of course, so Jacqueline says she's not looking at her statements. So, I mean, should you look at your statement? Yeah, I think I'm not saying you need to be looking at it every day. But what I want to say to you is that for far too many, the minute the market goes down, you start getting concerned. I mean, I shared with you last week that I was doing a training, and a gentleman said, "Yeah, I moved all my money." And I'm thinking, "What?" I'm like, "Why'd you do that?" And he was like, "Well, the market was going down, and I was fearful." But here's what I want you to know, and about and what I know to be true is that many of you would already be millionaires if you learn how to stay the course, and you understand that now is when wealthy people are making significant moves and strategies around what they're investing in. They're looking for opportunities. And if you want to hear the full lowdown, I'm going to basically be laying it out on Saturday, June 4th. And from 10 to 4, you are going to get a soup to nuts overview of the markets. You're going to hear from some amazing women. And well, actually, it's 10 to 2. This is the first time we're doing it in 4 hours because we know people are busy and it's summer. But I also want you to know that in the chat, what is the date? What is the date? Let me see in the chat. It is June 1st, right? Now, we're not halfway through the year yet, but what I do want to say is that how many of you committed that this was going to be your year? That this was going to be your year where you finally were going to put make your finances a priority. In the chat, let me see how many of you have made a commitment that this is your year, that you are going to finally put your face mask on first. How many of you said that, right? Well, the fact is it's June 1st. Not quite halfway, because actually halfway will be July 1st. But I think that, this is an amazing opportunity. Two things, right? The market is down, and that if you have been considering increasing your investment allocations, increasing your retirement contribution, now is the time to do it. And in a little while, I'll talk about that a little later. But what I really wanted to share with you, that how many of you have been looking at the news? And what are the headlines? Did anybody look at the finance headlines today? Well, on my phone, I have the finance.yahoo app, right? And so that's pretty much where I look at the market, what it's doing, figuring out, what the different indices have done, whether it's the Dow, the S&P 500. Now I have Bitcoin up. And what I love about finance.yahoo.com, and by the way, if you don't have that app, download that app on your phone. Okay? Now, if you download that app and you look at the headlines, someone says something very, all I can say is it's alarming. And Jamie Dimon, how many of you know who Jamie Dimon is? In the chat, let me know if you know who Jamie Dimon is. That's right. He is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. That's right. And I actually got an opportunity to meet him and go into their executive offices a couple of years back. But one of the things he says is that his company is preparing for a hurricane in the financial services industry. Now, I just want to ask you a question. Why do you think he would say that? The name of the app it's Yahoo Finance, right? But the way you get to it's finance.yahoo.com, or you can just Google Yahoo Finance and the app will come up. Okay, now the reason that I use that app is one of the things I want to do to monitor, but I also want to get a sense of what is the what do I want to call what insight can I gain from folks who are running the financial services industry. What I want to take the temperature. What are they saying? Now, so the question I have though, back to my question, why do you think Jamie Dimon said that his company is preparing for a hurricane in the financial sector? Let me see. Who can tell me why? Right? Who can tell me why? Panicky investors, the economy. That's right. That's exactly right. And so the point that he made is that the reason we're preparing for an economic hurricane is there's so much uncertainty. The war in Ukraine. I mean, I know that we have a tendency out of sight, out of mind, but that certainly is happening. And I also think that, if you think about it, we have had several of these, what do I want to call them? Like domestic terrorist act in just the first few months. And I mean, in the past few months, right? And so when you look at all of that, and then you've got oil prices. I mean, that was the other thing he was looking at, oil prices, and the fact that Russia really supplies Europe with a lot of their supplies. And so that's part of the reason why when we go to the pump, we're seeing, I saw gas at $4.53 and I said to my husband, man, $4.53, that sounds pretty good. Is that crazy? Now anything under $5 is good. Okay. And not only that, as the CEO of a public company, he has to prepare his shareholders for his earnings. And so that's what he's saying, like our earnings are not going to be great, or anticipate them being lower. Who was that said Valerie said 453 is good, right? Okay. So The only thing that I want to what I want to say is that in these turbulent times are when opportunities are afoot, but I'm not trying to sound like Pollyanna either, right? Like in the near term, yes, be prepared for what we are seeing though. Let me preface this though. What we are seeing is that inflation just last month was, the rate was 8, 9, 10%, and part of that was these oil prices going up, the supply chain going on in the store. I think I commented last week that pretty much everything was up 30%. I mean, I went to the store and everything that was used to be $3 is now $5, right? So $5 for this, $5 for a loaf of bread, $5 for this, $5 for pretty much everything that $5 for blackberries when last season they were $3.99. So those are inflationary pressures, but the good news is just recently, the good news is that this month, I think inflation came out at about 4.9%. Now, how many of you have attended, and some of you are watching me on YouTube, and some of you may be watching me on Facebook. And in the comments, I just like to hear how many of you have attended any of our prior Savvy Money Makeover challenges or our master classes. In the chat, let me know if you have. Say, yes, I've attended. And for those of you who are in the WealthyU Society, I know many of you have. I have. So the question that I have for you, I'm going to make you guys work tonight, is what is the historical rate of inflation? Okay? You guys should know this. Historically, inflation has averaged what number? That's right, 3%. Right? So we know that if inflation went up to 10% and now it's at 5%, we know that historically inflation has been about 3%. So we also know that it is higher than normal, right? Keep listening, y'all, because I want you guys to get this, right? And so what has been the historical rate of return on large stocks? If you've attended any of my training, you know these answers. So the historical rate of return on large company stocks is what? That's right, 10%. Okay. So we know that the average annual return of large company stocks funds for the past 10 years has been about 15%. So we know that is higher than normal, right? And so the only thing I want you to understand is that eventually everything reverts back to the mean or the average. And so as an investor, what you're trying to do is you're trying to either invest in mutual funds where the mutual fund managers have outperformed those averages historically, or you yourself want to find investment opportunities that have performed better than that, right? And so that's one of the reasons in WealthyU, we really feel it's important for you to not just invest in your 401k and mutual funds, but also learn how to invest in individual stocks. And why do you think that's important? In the chat, why do you think it's important for you to not only learn how to invest through mutual funds, but also invest in individual stocks? Why do you think that's important if you're going to invest? Portfolio diversification, absolutely. Diversify. Yes, but I mean the premise Okay, the premise of investing in mutual funds really is you get built-in diversification, right? Because if you're in a large company fund, then that means, like, if you were to look at the blue chip growth fund or the T. Rowe Price blue chip growth funds, one of the things that you would see is that, their top holdings typically have been what? Facebook, Amazon, the FANG stocks, Netflix, Google, many of those same companies who have, I'm not going to say fallen on hard times. I'm just going to say kind of fallen out of favor because those companies are still making money. Agree or disagree with me in the chat? Let me know. Agree or disagree with me that uh, higher returns is in individual stocks at times. Who said that? Let me just see. Who was that? Lynette. Okay, Lynette, one of our ambassadors. Okay. Now, the point is that when you're investing in mutual funds, you're kind of investing and it's going to be an average of the performance of all of the investments in the mutual funds. Whereas on any given day, depending upon the company, there are companies who are still going to do well when inflation is high. Okay? I want you guys to get this. Like, what companies do you think have the highest profits right now, even though we're seeing significant turbulence in the economy? Just in the chat, let me know, or in the comment sections, let me know. Let me see if I can look at my comments on Facebook as well, so I'm not leaving y'all out. Okay, Dion says, it feels like we're riding a roller coaster. And then, Rhonda says, investment in individual stocks give you the opportunity to control where your money goes. Excellent, excellent, Rhonda. That's exactly right. And so what most of you said is correct, is that investing in individual stocks gives you an opportunity. Now, let me just go back to the question. I asked the questions, what companies are doing well, even though we're in a significant downturn? Mona says Apple, Amazon, and Google. Actually, Apple is having some supply chain issues right now. Okay, but that's a function of everything that's going on in the economy. Actually, the companies that are doing right now, let's see, Lynette said, what is that? Home Depot and Lowe's. Yes, their earnings came out, but also oil companies are doing really, really well right now. Okay, and so many folks are looking at it from the standpoint of they're just taking advantage of consumers, right? Like just because you can, just because they can, and now they're alluding to the fact that companies, I think what's happening right now globally with oil really is they simply aren't pumping as much, and there's not as much supply, right? So if there's supply and demand, and then the price goes up, right? Lower supply, higher demand. Although what we are seeing is people are basically cutting back. And, certainly our consumption as it relates to COVID, I don't know about you guys, but did you put a lot of mileage on your cars during COVID? I mean, a lot of us just weren't doing a lot of the things that we normally do. And now it's summer time, and perhaps that is going to change. Dion Whitley, let me just make sure Dion Whitley's on the my Facebook page. Well, actually, she's in the community. And one of the other points that she made around companies that are doing well is Dollar Store, Dollar General. Absolutely. Okay, so that really is the point that I want you all to understand, and that's exactly what I'm going to be covering at our masterclass, Be One of the Million with a Million, is savvy money moves, right? Like, it is during this time that you need to look at behavior and understand that based on the environment, people are going to behave a certain way. And because of that, some companies are going to benefit from behavior. Okay, now this is one of the most profound things that I learned from being in the investment industry with ultra wealthy people. Is there is never a time when they are not looking for opportunity, right? Like, for every action, there is a reaction. And so the point I want to make about looking at the reason I have an app like finance.yahoo.com on my phone is because I'm getting a sense of investor sentiment, right? That really what that's about. And so even though, have you seen how topsy-turvy things have been? Like, we were down for almost 7 straight days. Then the market came up, then the market went right back down. Then the market went up, then the market went right back down. So the question I have for you, why is it that as soon as the market goes up a few hundred points, the market goes down, back down? What do you think is happening there? Anybody want to guess? Why is the market doing this up and down? Well, the truth is that I'm going to give you a few minutes to answer that, but why do you think that is? Trading, that's absolutely right. Yeah, but I mean, not only is it trading, but what I want you to understand is if you've been through any long-term economic downturn, what happens is investor psychology, right? Like, people are still thinking about what their portfolio was in January, right? And so let me just be like, maybe it was $100,000 and now they're looking at their statement and it's 80K, right? Okay, this is good. This is good. So why? So emotion, that's exactly right. Why is it up and down? Panicky investors, absolutely. Lynette, you guys are bringing it this evening. People are uncertain about the future. Azaleen, bing, 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 bing. Insecurity. So fear, yes, not stable. And so what happens and why investor sentiment is so important is that it's not necessarily just, companies are not as profitable as they were. And certainly in the short term, a lot of companies have, their earnings are not what they have been. Interest rates were low, people were buying houses, there's a lot of economic activity. The market was going higher. So, people were like feeling a little flush. They flushed a lot of money in terms of the money supply in the economy. And so people were feeling happy, and then, right, coming to a screech. And so what's really interesting, and here's what I want you to understand. When I know markets are at a top, here's when I know. Is that average people start saying crazy stuff like, yeah, I'm going to earn 20% and I'm just going to live out off of that money as if that's a sure thing. When people start thinking that, the stock market is just like a cash machine and all you got to do is put in money and it's going to go, you're going to get your money back, that's when you know that you're at the top. But to my point, the reason why I wanted to ask you about why the market is up and down, and all of you certainly understand, it's the fear factor, Letta says, right? And so what I want you to understand, it is through fear that you accomplish financial freedom. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on Saturday. So if you have not signed up for Saturday, you need to make sure you're there. Because on Saturday, in 4 hours, we're really going to be looking at how fear can present an opportunity. And if you're able to understand it and invest in spite of it, that really is how the wealthy get wealthy. I want you guys to understand this. And so I'm just going to give you guys briefly what our Be One of the Million with a Million masterclass, what that is going to look like on Saturday. So doors open at 9:30. We're going to have our fabulous DJ there so we can have fun. But we're not taking any lunch breaks. We are going in and we're going to be working. You're going to be exposed to some amazing stories from many of the women who are in WealthyU, and really understand how so much of financial success is as a result of what? Mindset, strategy, and execution. And in it, you are going to be working and figuring out exactly what you need to be doing to take advantage of what is surely an opportunity for all of you if you understand how the wealthy people become wealthy in economic downturn. So in the chat, let me know. Does that sound like something you need to understand? And so for 4 hours, we're going to be, I'm going to be exposing you to some the same concepts that I was exposed to, that I was like, oh my goodness, this is the opposite of anything that I've ever been told, right? And giving you the tools that you need so that you can de-risk, right? And so, two, when I say de-risk, what do you think the antidote to being fearful, right, and being panicky in turbulent times is? What is the antidote to, right, being confident in turbulent times? What do you think you have to have in order to do it? In the comments in the chat, let me know. What do you think is the antidote to fear of turbulent times? What's the antidote? Natty says purchasing power. That's right. Who said it? Jacqueline. Knowledge. That's absolutely right. And so what I'm going to be doing is really taking you guys on a journey and showing you, and you're going to see real women, and how in the midst of the COVID, in the midst of an economic downturn, the miraculous stories from women and how they were able to basically accelerate their financial growth in what was seen as some of the most difficult times. And here's what I want you to know, is if it can happen for them, it can happen for you. And so many people that I've talked to in, January, the last quarter of last year, said, oh, the market's so high, it's too high, I don't want to invest. Now the market is down. We went into bear territory last week. And who can remember what is the definition of a bear market? Anybody know? Now you learned this last week. Let me see if you know it let me look in the comment section as well. How many of you know what a bear market is? What is considered a bear market? I'm making you guys work for your knowledge today. That's right. When the market declines more than 20%. Okay? And so, doesn't feel good when you're looking at your portfolio and it's declined by 20%. But guess what? You now get to buy many shares of investments at 20% lower. What's the other thing? The other thing you could say is that you actually could say that, the market is 20% lower, and yet my investments are 20% lower. Is it time to invest? Well, here's what I want you. When do you think the best time to invest is? When's the best time to invest? When you have the money. Because one of the things I'm going to be sharing with you on Saturday is why market volatility going up and down, up and down, up and down is exactly what you want to happen, and the strategy that you can take advantage of, the strategies that you need to take in order to take advantage of it. So again, in the chat and in the comments on YouTube, on Facebook, if you haven't gotten your ticket, you can go to WealthyU.com. It's at the top of the page. Or actually, go to my link tree. If we could put that in the chat as well. And make sure that you get your ticket. Tickets are limited. We have a very special offer. You could even get access to one of our courses, which are typically only reserved for our members. And you can get the replay. And in addition to that, for those of you who do get our Millionaire in the Making Success Kit, all right, Valerie. Valerie says, I got mine. You get to come to a VIP bonus session on Monday. And that VIP session is really designed for you to implement. So here's what I want all of you to understand is that knowledge is not power. It's not. Knowledge correctly applied is. And on Saturday, you are going to see the stories of women who were sitting just like where you are. Some of you maybe are listening to me, and yes, I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder and CEO of WealthyU, and I want to help folks get to $1 million. And I'm claiming that I'm going to be the one to make the most millionaires. I'm going to be the top millionaire maker from investment portfolios. But the truth is, I can't really take that moniker. I can't really, it doesn't happen because of me. It happens because of the community and because seeing like-minded people able to build their portfolios, investing, increasing. I spoke to someone this week, get this, blew my socks off. Told me that, when I started with WealthyU, I was only investing $250 a month. Guess what I'm investing now? I was like, wow. I was like, maybe she doubled it. $1,250 a month she's investing. She has seen her portfolio. Imagine you're investing and your money's growing, and now you're investing that much even when the market is she gonna win this game? Yes. And so that's why we hold these master classes. You're gonna see people just like yourself who, just like me, didn't come from wealth of any kind, right? Parents, blue collar, actually came from the cotton fields in Alabama on up to Detroit. And it wasn't until I got exposed to the ultra wealthy after being in the investment industry for many years and realizing that everything that we've been taught about how to truly build wealth never was designed to do that. And in fact, even when we try to learn what the ultra wealthy do, because we're not wealthy ourselves, we don't get exposed to that information. That is exactly what the members in WealthyU have been able to accomplish over and over and over again. And if you want to learn what that insight is, what it will take for you to be one of the million with a million, then you don't want to miss Saturday. So I want to do a couple of things, invite you to join our WealthyU community, our free Facebook page, so that you can get access to all of the training that we do through WealthyU, that you get access to our masterclass, that you join us for our WealthyU Wine. Now, here's the other thing I want to tell you guys as well, is starting this month, WealthyU Wind Down is only going to be coming on once a month. Now, you can see me certainly on Get Wealthy. Our show on the Black Star Network airs every week on Mondays at 11 o'clock a.m. and at 8 o'clock p.m. But you can always stream them. You can go to www.blackstarnetwork.com. We have some amazing shows coming up, and if you haven't seen this week's show, you need to check it out. Kim Lewis, from her kitchen table to seven-figure business. She is and her husband Timmy Kim Lewis are the founders of Curl Mix, and she shares so much insight in that show. Now, if you haven't watched Get Wealthy, you need to, instead of streaming Netflix, you need to be streaming Get Wealthy, like one woman told me, because there are so many nuggets of wisdom. So let me know in the comments, in the chat, how many of you are going to be hanging out with us on Saturday. Here's the other thing I want to encourage you: invite a friend. Now, the tickets are only $17. Normally they're $97. Certainly if you want to get the kit, you're getting a kit worth $1,000 for $27. I know. So this is my challenge to you, that each one of you listening get 1 to 2 people in your circle, because your economic condition is the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Certainly, I want you to come out and hang out with us in WealthyU, because every day we have WealthyU ambassadors who are answering your questions. They're coming to reaching out to you. Our WealthyU ambassadors, you're going to meet them on Saturday. Anita Jenkins, Virginia Rutherford, Michelle Smith. They right now, if you are coming to our event, they've been reaching out to you. So if you don't know who your ambassador is and you're in the WealthyU community, just say, "Who's my ambassador?" and they'll link to you. But if you look in your Facebook Messenger, you'll see that you may not be friends with them. That may not be while you're not getting your, in the chat, ask who's your ambassador. Your ambassador will reach out to you. Our WealthyU ambassadors, I was just explaining to I was being interviewed by a Muckety Muck Foundation, and they wanted to learn, about the programs that have helped women be successful. And one of the things I was sharing with them is what's really, really powerful about WealthyU is every one of our ambassadors has been sitting where you are. right? Like they were like you. They may have saw an ad on Facebook. They may have come to an event. They may have heard me on the radio. They may have seen me on CNN or News One Now or Roland Martin's Black Star Network, XM series. I mean, you name it, the gamut. And they were sitting right where you were, and they were listening. And they were saying, "Ooh, I really need to do this. I really need to do this." And then they joined WealthyU. And then they joined WealthyU, and you're going to hear their stories as well on our Q&A session about how they started. Many of them have doubled, tripled what it took them 20 years to invest. They've now doubled that and tripled that just based on the knowledge. And so now they are so inspired by their own, what they've experienced in their own lives, that now they're WealthyU ambassadors, and they're there to be beside you and help you navigate what can be a very complex investment marketplace. And so those WealthyU ambassadors, once you become a member of WealthyU, they become your member success advisor, and they're there to cheer you on, and they're there to make sure you get to the skill building session. But the most important thing they're there for is to help you execute. Because one of the things I tell our team, and I meet with them every week, is that WealthyU is about results. It's about results. It's about wanting you to become one of those goal models that you'll see on Saturday, who said, "Well, you know, when I started with WealthyU, I had all this debt, I had this, I had that, and I didn't have this. And now I have this and I have that, and I'm so excited. I'm helping my kids," because that's what it's about. The truth is that the knowledge of how to build wealth is the most valuable asset of all. And that is what we want to help you attain. The knowledge of how to build wealth so that you can pay it forward to your children, to your family, so that we can create intergenerational wealth. And so that hidden asset is no longer a secret, because you have attained it and you're paying it forward to others. So are y'all with me? So in the chat, let me know. You're going to invite 2 people to the event. I know we're going to fill the house. We with limited seating virtually, so make sure you get those tickets. And I hope to see all of you on Saturday at the Be One of a Million with a Million live event. That's going to do it for me this evening. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we're on a mission to help people build their first investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond.